you can set up a GitHub account for these. So GitHub is like, it's SharePoint for code, basically. GitHub. You can load your code there, and then you can point your AI to it and you say, this is the code. Can you change this bit? Can you add a bit more of that? I don't really like that bit. Can you get rid of that? What is this? Get rid. So then you can do that, and you iterate, and you can make a plan with it for something quite extensive, and it will do something, you know, quite large. As I say, I've written complete space adventure games now using this stuff as just sort of weekend projects. It's quite a lot of fun, but it's also a bit of a faff when it does something completely weird. And then, yeah, you feedback on the output, you suggest revisions and so on and so forth. But that's very simple after you've done it for the first day or two. Just like with any tech, we've all had experience of engaging with new tech products. Massive input costs. You spend some time with it at the start, you get nothing. You get tied up in knots. You go round and round in circles. But once you're past that, then it's very smooth. The good thing is the AI can tell you everything you need to do. It will say, do this, then click here. You see that button? Press that, then type this word. It's as specific as that. So it's not, I'm a complete non-techie, and I can do this now just because I've got the AI to help me and walk through. The student-facing AI is the biggie, I think, that universities are wrestle with. Should we have an institutional AI system? That's the advanced box down at the bottom right there, which is beyond our scope, I would say, as educators. That's a university level decision. Should we have an institutional agentic AI trained on each module content that knows each student's work? That's the sort of, that's one vision, I think, of where AI sits, but we're not there. There's a lot of bridges to cross before we get that. I think we will get there in about 5 years. I think that's where the universities will be, but I don't think we're there. If you wanted to do that yourself, as I mentioned before, one of the key challenges is how we get the students to work with the AI in a way that we guide. And one thing that you can do there is to produce a skill doc. So all that is instructions to an AI. It's just a simple text document, and then you upload it to Claude or ChatGPT or something. A student can download it and upload it themselves. And then you say, let's start. And then you can program it to act as like a learning coach or a feedback giver or something. And to me, I'm very uncomfortable with using student data. Putting student work in, I don't do that. Getting it to look at students' particular, requiring a student to do it, I don't want to do that. So this is an option if you want students to be able to engage with it in a structured way, but so it's on their terms and using their AI. The skill doc is the bare bones approach. Another way for the advanced one is to use a local LLM, but that's quite technical. So use a local model, one of the Chinese ones. But you could talk to your learning digital education office if that's a direction you want to go. Yeah, fully aware of the downside to AI agents. I think it's a very knotty area. I wonder how customizable these things are. I think if you put in your prompt for these skill docs, make sure that you account for bias, make sure that you have a very equitable representation in your answers. I wonder what that would do to it. I don't know, but I'm not sure about that either. I feel like it takes a lot of things out of our control, but it is possible. And I know that some universities have looked at having institution-wide coverage of Claude. I forget which university, somewhere in the north, I think it's Northumbria, I've got Claude. Manchester have got full Copilot now, and there's others as well. So they're starting to look at what this might lead to for good and bad. Okay, I'm going to share the Padlet with you now. Yeah, any thoughts while I'm just getting the Padlet up, and I'll share some things with you.
Sorry, I'll come in. There's quite a few thoughts going on in the chat at the moment. Yes. There seems to be quite a common theme around the fact that teachers or practitioners need training, not just to teach with it, but also just in terms of what AI can do and how it can be used, and also how the students, how our learners are using it. That seems to be something that's come up quite a lot in the chat.
There's a massive institutional gap, honestly. And I think because the technology is moving so quickly, it's moving faster than their institutional policies, which mandates strategy, which create roles to do these things. And so there's a huge gap, and people are doing it in very bitty ways. I think you've got a little bit here and a little bit there. A lot of what's shared are sort of toys as well. Look at this great thing it can do. It's quite individual, whereas what we need is something that's quite systematic. So I totally agree with you. And actually, one of the reasons why I work 4 days a week for the University of Bristol, and my 5th day I've devoted to trying to do that exact thing, because I think there's a movement which we don't feel part enough of as a sector. And I also think these conversations are being merged, conflated, and I think there's a lot for us to work through, and we don't have the time really to do so. I'm just going to pause that. I think drop your questions into the chat. I just want to share some of these AI generated artifacts as well, because I'm very conscious that I'm overrunning my time. I've been a bit too wordy about some of this stuff. So there's some really interesting things on here that I had a lot of fun making. I'm just going to talk you through some of these. Read them, have a look at them, discard anything you don't like. A lot of it is sort of just my own conclusion from looking at these learning theories and my explorations of the tech. So we've got over here collections of activities which focus on development of student thinking. This is one that I wrote and produced with the AI. Obviously it's AI generated, so I can't say I wrote it, I prompted it, which focus on business and management, which again are putting students in a position to think. This one is quite a nice example of level 1, level 2, level 3. So I mentioned before that level 1 is just text in, text out. So this is an example of level 1 output, which is a completed synthesis matrix. Some of you will have seen this before. It would take you a massive amount of time to find 2 studies on the same topic with conflicting conclusions. So here my students were studying GM foods, and I asked the AI, find me 2 studies with conflicting claims, conclusions on GM food. So here it's there, no evidence GM is necessary for high yields, and here there's a strong evidence that GM benefits farmers. So then break it down into the question, the claim, how they studied it, comparison, the evidence, and so on, and then put the questions by the side for students to talk through. And then what that does is it's a guided critical thinking activity with the actual links to the papers there. They're Creative Commons, so I haven't broken any copyright or anything, but there it gets the students to think through, well, what's going on here? Why are they different? That if I were to do that without AI, it would probably take me about 3 or 4 hours. That took me 5 minutes to make. So that's an example of level 1. Level 2, paraphrase pilot. You probably need to download this one, but this is just an interactive activity to walk through how students can develop better paraphrases. So not just replacing a single word, looking at phrase level, looking at vocabulary choices and so on. Level 3 is a custom GPT. So this one you'll need a free ChatGPT account to use, but if you click on that, it basically gives you conversation practice. So all you need to do is just go into ChatGPT. You need a paid account to make it, but a free account to use it. Yes, that's right. Just looking at the Andrea's point there, I said I wrote and then AI wrote. Yeah, I can't claim my name isn't on any of those because I can't say that I wrote it, and I feel very uncomfortable putting my name on there. But that's not my point. My purpose is to put people in a position to think. So really, the work should be done by the person who is in the middle of that context, really. And I think this is a weird thing about the academic ownership. Because I don't feel I can claim those. It's like it's open access. I've made all these things open to everybody, and I'm not putting my name on there as author or requiring attribution, because it's like, I could just make another 100 tomorrow if I wanted. But again, am I making it? I don't know. We kind of need a new language. I prompted. Is that more accurate? Yeah. So it's a very interesting question. I don't know what this is going to do to sort of academic authorship over the next years. I have no idea. Yes, but they are my prompts. And I think the prompts are quite interesting because those are the results of having a sense of what good might be and having a pedagogy which I have used as part of that prompt. So that I think is where the skill lies, but I don't, the ownership, the output isn't mine. So yeah, for practitioner development, I had a lot of fun with this one. So if you look at the EAP gallery here, that is it's a walkable museum where you can walk through, and it talks you through like all the different theories of EAP. You don't have to walk through it. If you download it and open it, you can press N and it moves you to the next one, and it takes you on a little bit of a walk through there. I've been thinking about this. It's based on the sort of the memory palace concept from ancient Greek learning, but also it doubles as a presentation template as well. If you want to, you can make those for your own. I've made it open source. So the practitioner development there, this one, it's called anamnesis, which is the Greek word for remembrance. It's not me being sort of highfalutin. That's the word it suggested. I like that. Okay, let's go with that. It's the word for remembrance. But if you want to, you can build your own. Thank you, John. That's very kind of you. Also for practitioner development, I've got a custom GPT and chat GPT here. It's informed by learning science of many of the papers that I've already mentioned. If you're thinking about how to build AI into your courses or whether to do so, just have a conversation with it and see what it generates. Again, be critical. The output is fuel for your thinking. It's not meant to be relied on. The output is fuel for your thinking. Have a good old play with that. Something else I've made is a leadership development package here as well. So with a particular focus on one of my direct reports, who is a leader in her own right, I wanted to help her move beyond just sort of task-focused leadership. Great at managing discourse and doing that. I wanted there to be more sort of personal reflection on leadership values. So I asked it to produce this, and it was great. It was fantastic. I put in some of the key theories that I wanted in the plan, and then it gave me like a breakdown of conversations that we could have and all these different things. It's very, very good at giving you new directions that you might not have considered before, but you just need to do the work with those. And here the work is the conversation that we have to have that human-centered education, if you like, keeping the human at the center. What else? Oh yes, skill docs. I mentioned skill docs, didn't I? So if you want to make a skill doc, that is one bare bones level 3 approach, which is getting the AI, getting a set of instructions that the student can then download and use on their own AI. So I've got an action learning set skill here for you as a tutor, where it will get you to talk through a situation, a case, and then get you to think about it. And then the one for students is over here, a learning coach. So that will be, the student would upload that, they'd download it from somewhere, they upload it, and then they say, let's start. And then it says, right, okay, I'm an EAP learning coach. What do you want to learn? Do you want to do this or that or that? Do you want to upload a piece of your writing? And then it works through, it gives them one lesson, and then it gives them a summary of that, which if they want to, they can then upload the next time. So again, this is kind of a support thing. I wouldn't recommend basing an entire course on this, but it is a sort of proto approach to a course specific chatbot, which you don't own. The student owns it, and then they're free to engage with it however they want to. And if you're interested, I've got a full set of skill docs there that are untested. I'm still working through those. A lot of this is like, there's so much to think through. It generates so much. The time, there's still a lot of time with this, but it moves to evaluation and thinking through, like, what's the quality here? What needs to be edited? I think I'm going to stop here because I'm running out of time. I've got a full course in EAP for postgrads over there. I've disabled the feedback engine because it costs me 20p every time someone uses it. So I've turned that off. But you can see how it would work on there. And then English self-study. And then over here, there's a bunch of documents here to use. Learning loops, 100 examples of AI-informed and AI-free learning, an attempt at AI native pedagogy. And over here, works in progress. This is a website to teach people how legitimation code theory works. So that's a work in progress. Any comments on that, send them to me and I'll update it. And this one here is because we don't have a central location for me to share all this stuff. Like if I wanted to do this elsewhere, there's nowhere in Barleap I could put on all these resources. There's no journal, there's no location. So I'm making one, and I've called it AI Commons for EAP.